Hey, I just wanted to pop in with a quick intro before this interview because I realized that I forgot to mention the name of the film, which is Doors, and a new science fiction anthology, which will be in theaters which was released in theaters March 19th, is on demand today, March 23rd, and will be releasing on DVD and Blu-ray on April 6th. And here is myself to introduce my guests today. Enjoy. All right, so welcome to the Filmcraziest show. I have Jeff Desom in my upper left for the video. I don't know how it looks on your guys' screens. And then I'm in the upper right. And then Saman Kesh in the lower left. And Dugan O'Neal on the bottom right. Cool. It's great to have you guys here.
Good to be here.
Hey. Thanks. I'd love to start with just asking, did you guys always envision this as an anthology structure, or did that come about in production?
I think when it was presented to me by Chris, one of the producers and creator of the concept, he always saw it as an anthology. I think the type of anthology and how it connected was not always, but for a long time was in flux. And then eventually, I think when I started reaching out to directors that I felt would complete the package, I think that was when we knew what it is we wanted, as far as like the type of anthology. But yes, from the beginning it was an anthology. We just felt there was more prose to an anthology than, one filmmaker creating the different stories.
Okay. One of those pros being the amount of favors that one person could get to.
Yeah. Complete. One of them. Yeah. And the other pro being the fact that, it's just multiple brains, and it's also just a challenge because I really don't like a lot of anthologies, mostly because they try really hard to flow and they don't. And so I was like, okay, how do we take the best of both worlds, having them be their own thing, but then like really on a limited level, creating that through line. And it was a challenge, but I think, the way we did this was over time. I was 2016, Dugan shot his in 2017, Jeff shot in 2018, and they were brought in also in those times. So there was a lot of, cooking, a lot of time to cook and figure things out and re-articulate some of the story and stuff like that. So I think we had the luxury to be able to do that, but it's a tough challenge,
Okay. So they could work on their own, but so they filmed like on their own, so like they could work on their own in a way, but then it just came together as the film, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they would work on the film. I would be there, but yes, it was like their production. It was their short. With these.
Yeah, and when we, Saman shot and wrote and shot his before everyone else, so we had like a template as far as what the rules of the Doors were, the rules of the world, and kind of the tone. And then, I came up with some ideas for the end, because that was something that we had talked about, like, let's do the end. And we talked about kind of the direction we wanted to go. And then I would, Saman and I would pass back and forth scripts. So, there was this, we always knew that it was going to be one movie, obviously. So it was like, but at the same time, how can we create something that doesn't feel like we're just picking up in the next scene in the same world? It's like, these are different worlds, different perspectives, but it feels like one movie,
And it's each segment very much answers like how it started, what happens inside the doors, and then like kind of where they came from. Like what interested you guys specifically to do each short and tell each perspective?
Well, for me, I mean, I love the idea of someone who's already kind of lonely and isolated, both geographically and then how they think. If they discovered something in the woods and befriended it, that we've kind of built up to know is dangerous, how that would kind of play into an interesting, compelling story. So that was kind of the original thought process around L'Image, the third segment for me. I don't know about these guys, but
yeah, I think for my segment, I love the idea of people being afraid of something else, and then they learn to be afraid of themselves. because I think that's a big thing that I think people are starting to realize, that a lot of the shit that we're afraid of is just kind of a projection or manifestation of what we're afraid of about ourselves. And that, it was a tough pill to swallow, and just executing it and conveying it, and allowing it to become its own sort of weird Lynchian kind of thing. But that was just very stimulating for me. And so that's probably the recurring thing that has always excited me in the 4 years that we kind of on and off worked on the project. And there's my cameo, Charles Melton friend.
Nice.
For my segment, I was most interested. It was, to me, what I really latched onto was the teenagers who at the center of the story, and how that that time in your life is like a time of extreme lows and ups, and a lot of insecurities and a lot of search for identity. And I think that's sort of like you tend to forget as you get older about that time in your life, and so it's fun to revisit that and sort of to spend some time there again. And so like the door was a perfect excuse to sort of to confront our characters with those questions, and sort of this bottleneck event for them where they had to very quickly grow up, or very quickly like come to themselves.
Okay, cool. Saman, I'm like a 90s kid, so I grew up with Drake and Josh, with Josh Peck. What was it like working with him?
Josh is great. Josh is a all-around entertainer, performer. Cameras were off, he would still be Josh. I think he just really nice guy. I think you can tell he kind of grew up around cameras, and has had such a unique journey as a person, and as an actor and a personality. And I think he really, the best thing with him was he liked keeping things simple. With Lina, it was like character psychology. With him, it was just like, give him objective, like, hey, you're not funny, make her laugh. And he's like, got it. And then he would fucking just destroy her, and she would bust out laughing. And then we'd just play with the knobs there. And it's just, he's great, super professional. And like two, 3 take kind of guy,
What was it like working with 3 Josh Pecks in that little scene?
Oh,
there?
3 Josh Pecks. That's the whole thing. I mean, he did so good. Like that was a pickup. We shot that later because we still had some writing to do and completing some of the other segments. And so we shot that like about 2 years later. And I mean, he crushed it. I think he saw the short and just was like even more just, because at first I don't think he knew what the hell we were doing. Like it's so abstract, and there was just like, look at this, that's not there, look at this. And then once he saw it coming together, I think he really wanted to crush it. And I think he did a great job. I think we tried to kind of find three personality types that kind of existed within him that fit the mold of the scripts, the clones of the different kind of alternate personalities that he had. And that was, it was very weird. It was hard because we would forget who was who and stuff, but it was, he did great.
Okay, nice. Now I wanted to do like a little scenario here. Like if you guys hadn't worked on the film, like don't know anything about these doors, and they popped up randomly around the world, how would you guys react to that?
If they just popped up everywhere, I would think I'd be curious to what they were. Maybe even go explore the door. But that's there's a lot of ins and outs and what have yous that I think could change my decision. But right now, I think I'd be curious to what they are.
Yeah, I think I could kind of react to the way that I reacted during the pandemic, which was like in and out of like accepting, and also just like total like, oh shit, man, this is fucked up. Especially like when everyone actually had to be locked down. Like I was in the desert writing something, so like I was already in my own lockdown, but like once it happened to the world and I just could actually like see it, and like once I walked in and saw people with masks and like afraid of each other, I was like, Whoa. So like, I think if it was in front of me, I would probably surrender to it because it would be very powerful. But I think if it was like, I knew it was happening, yeah, I would probably go through my own sort of form of like just introverted psychosis. That's what would happen to me. I would just I would create 3 different versions of me and have to kill 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say until you're confronted with it. I similar to the virus, it's very abstract until you know somebody who gets it or you get it yourself. I don't know. I really don't know how you'd react until you like face up with it. But until then, I would probably just cower at home, wait for your fear.
Watch Netflix. Heroically watch Netflix.
Remote direct for life until it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. So that's my time. So Jeff Desom, Saman Kesh, and Dugan O'Neal.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for chatting with me about your film Doors on the Film Craziest show.
Awesome.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
Take care.